Hi and welcome to another finely tuned edition of Madder Maxx, the show that brings you all the alternative motorsport.
On Madder Maxx, we've looked at vehicles which race on every different kind of terrain, some on water, some on land. But this week we've come to look at a form of racing which races on both. They don't have propellers, they don't have wheels, in fact they have a skirt. You've guessed it, it's hovercraft racing. After all, once you've built one, what else can you do with it except race it? Hovercraft racing started in the UK about 20 years ago. Since then, the craft have evolved from large, lumbering, tank-like creations to small, light, highly developed craft capable of speeds in excess of 70 miles per hour. Hovercraft racing isn't only limited to Britain. Australia, Sweden, Slovakia and Italy are just some of the countries that take part in hovercraft racing. There is even a World Hovercraft Federation. There are several different racing classes, from Formula 25 with engines under 25 horsepower through to Formula 1 with an engine capacity over 500cc. There's even a Formula Junior for the kids. To find out a bit more about hovercraft racing, I'm with Robin Brickles. Robin, can we clear one thing up straight away? Are you a driver, a pilot or a sailor?
I'm a hovernaut.
And how long have you been a hovernaut?
About 15 years now.
What is it that brought you into hovercraft?
I smashed my motorbike up. And it seemed like a better idea than actually having another accident on the road, so...
And that was it? That was how you
Well, yeah, I just sort of came from there, yeah.
And
I'd have an interest in hovercraft, like, so ever since I was, you know, really very little. But I was always into motorbikes until that fateful day.
What was it about this particular sport that drew you to it?
Well, it's quite a buzz, actually, to actually go around the course, like, and then not worry that the ground underneath you isn't actually solid enough to walk on. In other words, like when you're coming across, you go from a field over a jump into the water and you don't even feel you've done it. It's an amazing thing, like you really have to actually experience it to know what it's like. There is quite a lot of movement about it, and I think it's probably more like a motorcycle outfit for as a passenger than actually a motorbike. But all the movements you do, there's none of them that are really all that strenuous. The most strenuous thing is like holding yourself up against the handlebars when you're accelerating, because they do accelerate quite quickly at the moment. I mean, we've got somewhere around 130 brake horsepower coming out the back of the craft, and it'll knock fence panels out at like a third throttle.
The safety record is pretty, I mean, almost exemplary in this sport. Is that one of the attractions, I suppose?
Well, I'm not too convinced that it is all that good as a safety record, because there's not that many people actually race hovercraft. So if you do it over like miles, like driven or run or flown, then it might not be quite as good as you think, but generally it's reasonably safe. This is the unlimited class that we're running at, which is Formula 1, which means we're not limited to any CC. We could have anything we wanted in this as a CC. Or you could even run a gas turbine engine if you really wanted to, but it would probably melt everybody behind. So I don't think anybody's really tried one of those yet.
What are the costs involved in running something like this for a season?
Well, a new engine like the triple behind me is £3,500 to start with. Generally people try and get either a second-hand one or a partly used one from the snowmobile racing. The thrust engines, the lift engine's quite a bit cheaper. That's probably 350, 500 quid to get a lift engine. But added to all that, you do have to spend another probably 100 quid per engine just for the fan blades and the framework you actually make up. Most people make a lot of the stuff themselves, and it is really quite expensive. But it is very exciting racing. Having said all that, I beg to differ to anybody who says it's not. And if anybody came down, I don't think there's many people go away disappointed with it.
Well, speaking of racing, let's go and see it for ourselves. Robin, we just seen you have your first race and it was a success.
Yeah, it's probably the first race I'm going to get points for this season actually, because the last meeting we had it was a bit of a washout and nobody got any points for it. So it's good to start off in the way you want to go on.
Yeah, it didn't look plain sailing. You went into the first bend third or something, and someone had a bit almost a sort of a catastrophe.
Well, I had a bit of a bad start, but I didn't really want to be into the first corner because the guy in pole position might have pushed me off the corner. So I thought I hung back and see what they had up the sleeve to start with.
But once you was in front, it was pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty
I left them to fight it out between themselves after that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good luck for the rest of the season and good luck for the rest of today.
Well, thank you very much.
Pleasure. I wasn't quite sure what to expect from Hovercraft Racing, and to be honest, it still leaves me a bit cold. It hasn't got that competitive edge that, say, drag racing or Formula 1 stock car racing has got. But the people who do it love it, and they're totally committed. So, fair play to them.
the years, one of Britain's most eccentric cars has received a fair amount of ridicule. These days, people would consider you either a wheeler-dealing Del Boy or someone with a perverted love of fiberglass to opt for Reliant's three-wheeled Robin. But don't worry, this isn't Motor Week. We're interested in what happens to the cars when they come to the end of their time on the road. And of course, a bunch of nutters take them to the track. If you haven't seen these lightweight fiberglass three-wheelers racing on the ovals, then you've been missing the world's wackiest races in a really fun formula of ferocious flips and crashes. Well, I'm with a bit of a mad lad here, Matthew Lomas, who races Robin Reliant. Now, what made you get into racing Robin Reliant? You know, why do you do it?
Just something I decided I wanted to do and have a go.
Now, fine specimen here. Tell us a bit about the Robin Reliant.
Well,
does it turn over much when you go around corners?
Yeah, as soon as you touch the brakes and go around the corner, over she goes.
So what happens when you're in a race and the car goes over? Does someone come back and just push it back up?
No, you have a rocket or you stick your arm through the window and push it back on its wheels.
What, you can actually do that yourself?
Yeah.
Well, I'm absolutely amazed. Now, what speeds do you get out of these?
I wouldn't like to say. Not fast, probably 30, 35 mile an hour.
Does your sort of speed gauge work in there,
no,
or
it's
nothing
not
works?
Speedo in. There's nothing in, apart from the 2 switches.
No, is it quite a spectacle to actually watch? I mean, are they always turning over and crashing into each other?
Always turning over, and it's up to you how many people you want to hit and crash into.
Now, is it a bit of a crowd puller as well, because there's obviously going to be loads of argy-bargy on the track?
There's all sorts of argy-bargy. The crowd love it, so it's good.
Now, you decided to race Robin Reliant, so what do your family and your friends think about this?
Some of my friends think I'm mad, but the family go with me and enjoy it, so...
Do they come down and watch you as well? Does everyone come down?
My mum
cheering
don't like
for
to
you?
come, but she's scared, but she has to put up with it.
Now, can you actually get really hurt in these? I mean, there's not exactly much in there. I suppose you got the roll cage.
No, you got your roll cage. As long as your roll cage is good, you tie yourself in well, you can't really get too hurt. End up with a bit of a bad neck on a Monday morning, but that's about it.
Well, Matthew, thank you very much for speaking to us, and I wish you all the best in your racing.
No problem, thank you.
There can be between 8 to 20 cars in a heat, and they race between 10 to 15 laps. The drivers seem to get a strange buzz out of flipping the cars. As with a lot of the sports on Madder Maxx, Reliant Robin Racing is an acquired taste. So whether you love them or you hate them, there's no denying that the racing provides plenty of laughs for both crowds and drivers.
It's fair to say that over the years the French have built some brilliant motor cars. The Peugeot 205 GTI is a classic example. But sadly, I'm not here to look at a brilliant car, I'm here to look at one of motoring's horror stories. It's a car that was originally designed to carry a basket of eggs over a ploughed field, yet somehow it stayed in production for over 40 years. And today, I've come to meet a guy who races one of them. It is, of course, the Citroën 2CV. Enthusiasts started racing 2CVs in the UK around 11 years ago, and the 2CV Racing Club of Great Britain now has upwards of 65 members, all of whom regularly race in 11 rounds throughout the UK. There are 3 different types of races: sprints, in which drivers complete up to 15 laps, enduros, where up to 2 drivers complete as many laps as they can over a set time, and there is an annual 24-hour race, this year being held at the famous Spa circuit in Belgium. Right, today we've come to meet Derek Harnett to find a bit more about 2CV racing. Hi Derek.
How you doing?
Can you tell us all about what, from the outside, looks a very odd and very bizarre kind of motorsport?
Well, 2CV racing is all about racing pretty much standard cars. They're lowered, they're stiffened, there are some modifications made to the engines, but basically it's an entry-level motorsport. It's all about close grids, close racing, and it's all about the drivers having fun out there.
So how did you first get involved in it?
I got involved through the 24-hour race, which is held annually in Mondello Park in Ireland. This seemed like a challenge, it seemed like something mad to do. Now,
one of the things about 2CVs in particular, they do lean over a lot on corners.
They do.
It looks quite spectacular is one word, dangerous is another. Is it a particularly safe sport?
It is. The cars are run to very strict regulations, and part of the reason why it looks like they're rolling an awful lot is that we're out there at full speed. At a low power car like this, we really push them absolutely to the limit and chuck them around the corners. And
what kind of speeds do you hit down the straights?
Down the straights, I would think 80 or 85. Average lap speeds can be anywhere up 60 or 70 miles, depending on the particular circuit.
Can you tell us what actually goes into putting a little beast like this together?
Okay, well there's 2 main aspects. The first one is the safety aspect, so there's a roll cage, safety seat, safety belts. A lot of the original internals of the car have been stripped out. And then the secondary part to it is lowering the car, stiffening the car, fine-tuning the engine, and trying to get the handling right and get the power, as much power as you can out of it.
And the engine's what? Is the standard twin-cylinder?
It's a standard twin-cylinder 602cc, and there are some areas in the regulations that allow you to fine-tune. The handling of the car is crucial because you really need to keep your speed through all the corners. You don't want to lose speed and then have to build it back up again.
Do you use a controlled tyre?
The tyres are not controlled, but they must be Firestone tyres.
Have you got any idea what it actually weighs?
It should weigh 640 kilos. Ours is a little over that.
Which is nothing really, is it? So do you ballast it for the different drivers?
Some people do. We're not quite down at the minimum weight yet, so we're not quite there.
I might be in for a shot then. Well, look, you've got a lot of work to do today, so we'll let you get on with it. And good luck.
Thanks very much.
And it's been a pleasure to talk to you.
And to you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It takes a fair amount of modification to turn a road-going 2CV into a racing 2CV. The hood is replaced with an aluminium roof. All the interior trim is removed, as is the glass, which is replaced with perspex. A full roll cage, racing seat, harness and fire extinguisher are next, together with quick-release wings and some cooling holes. Well, we've just seen what was a very hectic and almost chaotic qualifying race for the 2CVs. So let's have a chat with Derek and find out how he got on. Derek,
great fun.
How was it for you?
Great fun. Hectic race. Lots of battling. Places changing all the time.
Yeah, we saw you actually leading for a time.
Yeah, halfway through the first lap, made a bold move up into Park hairpin, got past the first couple of guys, and held on to it for about half a lap, and then lost out again.
Yeah.
And spent the rest of the race battling for second place, back and forth.
So where was your eventual finishing place?
Finished in 3rd place. Well pleased with that. It's the best result so far.
Christian, it looked a bit fraught and hectic out there.
Yeah, it was a great race. I ended up having a great old dice with Derek Harnett. I think we raced for the full 8 laps, side by side. Only made contact once, but yeah, really tight race. It was nip and tuck. I was quicker than him through the twisty bits. He had a bit more power than me up the straights. But yeah, superb, and that's what it's all about.
Now, of all the people we've met during this series of Madder Maxx, I have to say that Derek is probably the most dedicated to his sport. The mileage the guy travels each and every year is absolutely phenomenal. But just as importantly, he loves this sport with a passion. And fair play to him for that. But the fact remains is, you wouldn't see me dead in one of these things, not even out on the racetrack.